Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 20th. How are you? Hope everyone's doing fine. And let's see here. I'm going to put on this little guy here. My name is Ben Weir with Octal 7. I'm going to run through some AutoCAD commands today. So these are custom commands that are developed and available for download on the website www.octal7.com. Feel free to download those. Just going to go through 4 commands this morning with some things with descriptive geometry and measurements and such. So they're going to be, there's a command straighten, shorten curves, a curves offset point, and then there's like an extended measure command as well that we can use for breaking up or measuring along something like a polyline. So let's just jump over to AutoCAD here. There we are. So in our AutoCAD, let's start with straighten. So this works really nice if we have something like a circle. And if I do straighten, we can select that circle. And it draws a line that's the same length as the circumference. So this is pretty handy for some descriptive geometry tasks. We have a few options in there as well. Let's redo that. Straighten. We can do an offset. So if we wanted to actually offset that curve 5 units, or this circle in this case, we could do offset at 5 or whatever the distance is that we want. We can also do, let's change that back to 0. We can also do a divide. So if I say I want 5 divisions in this, it's going to create a polyline and it's going to insert a vertex so that it divides that distance up into 5 or however many units that I'm asking for. If we do something like a polyline here, so I've got my polyline drawn and I can use the straighten command to create a straight line, or essentially a pulled out segment. So both of these polylines should be the same length. Let's just pull over the property palette so we can have a look there. And we should see indeed they are the same length on the property palette there, right? So each segment here, the distance between each vertex on the original polyline will be the same as what's on that straightened polyline, right? So again, that's useful for some descriptive geometry purposes. If we are, say, drawing a box or something like that, we can use straighten to create sort of a flat pattern if we're doing sheet metal or something like that, right? Let's just copy that over. Oh, I didn't get the vertices on there. Oh, there they are. I was just expecting it at the other spot. Let's just copy that over. Find that endpoint. There we are. And actually, I should have one more here at the end as well. So something like that, sort of a very simple flat pattern development for sheet metal or maybe cardboard or whatever, designing boxes or something like that. It could also be used for something like an alignment. If you're working in, say, municipal or civil design, you could potentially have a alignment in a plan view and you want to be able to create the section or the profile view essentially, right, for that alignment, right? So it'd be very handy in instances like that as well. All right, let's move on here. Erase that. And let's look at this shorten curves command. So I'm just going to draw a little development here. Very basic. Let's mirror this. I should have grabbed that other line too. That's okay. Just draw that in there. So let's say we do a little development. Sorry, got the button happy there. Let's push the right button. Let's say we are going to develop a side profile over here, right? So let's just go perpendicular there. Oops, I missed the snap, it looks like. Here we are. Gonna copy that. And simple development for like that side view, right? And let's just stretch this a bit longer. And I like using this offset, or sorry, the not the offset, looking at the shorten curves here to create a little bit of visual effect on something when I'm doing illustrations. So looking at, we have a front view and we have a side view, and sometimes it's nice to say shorten these up, right, to have a little bit of a visual effect for the illustration, right? And instead of going through and trying to shorten all of them up manually, we can do the shorten curves, and I can select both of those lines, and then I can specify by how much that I want, right? So if I say, well, let's say 10, it's going to shorten them 10 there, right? And if I'm not happy with that, repeat, and let's say I want to do 20 or something instead, right? So it's going to shorten those up, just breaking them from the end, essentially making those lines a wee bit shorter so they don't quite touch, right? So they're creating this gap in there. And that's really, I just use that for some visualization in illustrations, just to help clean things up a little bit that way. That could be maybe something on tangent lines, like I just drew a simple sort of shape here, but number of applications that could be used in. All right, switch back to AutoCAD. Let's just get rid of this. And let's see here, what was next on the list? Oh yes, the curve offset point. Let's see that one. So I'm just going to draw a line here, but this would work with a polyline or anything else as well. And we're going to do the curve offset point. And this just asks us for a curve. Let's maybe move the property palette off there. And when we select our curve, you can see we start mousing around with our crosshairs here. We have a jig showing the distance from that curve, in this case a line entity, to wherever our crosshairs are. And it's just projecting an offset distance. So on our ribbon, we should see we have a contextual ribbon that displays, and it gives us a little bit of basically like telemetry data here, right? Whatever information we're looking at. And you can see the distance is there, the point that's going to be created, or the coordinates. This needs a little bit of cleanup with formatting. It's showing way too many decimals at the moment. And the curve distance there. So if I want an exact distance here, let's say 200. So now it's going to project down that line 200 units from the start. So this was the start here, right? And it's going to go down. So if I don't like that, I can say distance 100, right? And it's going to update that. You should see the values appear in the ribbon here as well, right? So let's go back to 200 for that distance. And we have an offset value as well. So if I want to specify an offset of 50, then you can see that it's projecting 50 units there. And as I move my crosshairs around here, you can see that it's going to switch from side to side. So basically at this point, all I have to do is pick what side I want to go to. So either something like the right or the left. Click a point anywhere here, and it's going to draw in a point there for me. So let's repeat that. And so on my distance here, let's put in 300. No, it's not going to take it. So let's just do on the keyboard 300. And you can see it's projecting that distance then. And so if I want, I can click a point then, and it's going to insert that point node there for me, right? So repeat. And if I do an offset here, let's say I'm going to offset 50. So now it's locked that distance at 50 for that offset, right? And I can pick what side I want to offset to. So in this case, maybe I'm not concerned with how far along this line I have, right? I just need to be able to position a point that's offset by 50, and I might want to snap to some other geometry. So if I have something like this point here, right, I could use my O snaps and I could snap to that, and it's going to create a point right there for me that would be offset 50 from that line and directly in line with this point as well. And let's just give that a try with a polyline here. Curve offset point. And as I pick the polyline, you should see the same sort of behavior, right, that we get with the line, we have with the polyline. And so if I specify an offset here, let's go with 50, right? So we can see we're going to project off of 50. Oops, I clicked the point there. Repeat that. Offset 50. So as we mouse around, we can see it's going to offset 50 there for us. I don't have it doing a smooth transition around the points here right now, or around the vertices. That might be something that I change in the future, but at the moment it's just projecting straight at the vertice there. So whatever vector or derivative, tangent derivative is essentially defined at the vertex, that's going to define the direction of the offset. So if I want to say a distance here, 300, there we are. So we are 300 units along that polyline, and we have an offset of 50. A little bit of a error in the display of the pellet there with those values, but one of those things to fix. And just basically pick a point for the side. So if I pick on this side, it offsets there. If I pick that curve again, let's do an offset of 50 again. And let's say minus 50. So now you can see I entered in two offset values. So I did 50, comma, minus 50. And then you can see that it's offsetting both directions now. So I can specify a distance of, say, 400, and it's going to draw in a point along that polyline, offset both sides there for me. So if I just click, it doesn't matter at this point what side I click on, it's going to have the same result, right? Those distances are both the same. Let's just delete those points there for a second. Rearrange our view here slightly. And let's do that one more time here with the curve offset point. So if I select this polyline, and so I showed the offset there of doing a 50 and minus 50 to do each side, but I can also do something like if I want to do 100 and say 150, right? So now I can offset 3 points along that same curve all on the same direction, or if I wanted to do something with different directions, I could say negative in there as well, but I should be able to now insert 3 offset points at whatever position I want along this curve. So if I do a distance here of say 350, so we get an exact length along that polyline, right? And then I just need to pick what side I want to put this on. So I'll just pick up here, and then it draws in those points there for me. So I find that's a pretty handy tool for certain workflows, depending what you're doing, especially when you're looking at some things like alignments and working with values like that. So let's jump back to AutoCAD here and look at the last command. This is going to be the EXMEASURE or extended measure command. And what we can do here, actually let's draw in or copy this guy up a few times here. Let's draw in another polyline here. So if we do EXMEASURE, we can select, similar to like the measure command, but we can select a lot of polylines in this case and hit enter to end that selection, and then the distance between the points. So if I say I want to go 50 units, it's going to insert a point along the polyline at 50 units long. And it also inserts a point at each of the vertices as well for me. So you'll see that it has a number of extra points. I think it's this guy on that one. Yep. Gets that one there. So it just inserts a lot of points along a polyline or a line or whatever there, putting points in at all the vertices. This is really good for doing some data extraction if you need coordinates out of the drawing, or if you're maybe needing to build some coordinate tables or whatever with that information as well. That's very handy. Using the points, it makes it a lot easier than trying to take it straight from the polyline. So with these, of course, all of the distances between the points are 50. Let's just erase all of those guys and do the EXMEASURE again. And so this time I'm going to say 100 and hit enter. And now you can see that it's only inserted points every 100 meters along, or whatever my units are. I tend to work in meters, right? So every 100 meters along that polyline, and inserting the extra points at each vertice, of course, with having points at the start and the end as well. So let's see. That concludes then all the commands that I was going to run through for today. Just kind of a short list of commands and kind of seeing how some of those work. I really like using these again to create or build construction geometry essentially, or when I'm doing something like needing to develop other geometry, right, for kind of a descriptive geometry purposes. So again, if you haven't downloaded these tools, they are available on the website. You can go to www.octal7.com and go into the downloads area. You can download the technical preview for these. I'm running AutoCAD 2020 here, but these should work in 2021 and 2022. That has just recently been released, so you can go give those a try. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear from you. If there's certain things like this is a technical preview, so something like a beta, there's likely some bugs and errors that will occur in there. Please let me know what you find. I'd like to be able to track some of those, as well as if there's a command or some sort of custom command that you'd like to see, or maybe feature that you'd like to see developed or whatever, let me know, and I can put that on kind of a wish list item, or wish list of items that I have as well for some of the development. If you see one of my commands as well and see that this is really cool, but I'd also like it to be able to do some other function, right? Let me know that as well. I'm always open for more feedback there and being able to make things more flexible for other users. So with that, I think I'm going to call it there. Just rather short demo for today. And I hope that you have a good rest of your week. Take care.